All right. Hey, everybody. This is my first time talking in a YouTube video, so we'll see how this goes. Make sure it's not too weird here. So I just want to talk everybody through my flight simulator setup here. So to start off, it's a 3-monitor setup. I have two 27-inch monitors, and unfortunately I cheaped out and didn't want to get a third 27, so I have a 24. That was my original monitor. So between the three of them, it works okay with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Could be better. They don't have true multi-monitor support, so we're just kind of making it work. In my settings, I created a custom resolution of I think it's 5760 by 1080, and that's what gives me 3 monitors. So as long as I set my primary monitor to 5760 by 1920, then when I boot up Microsoft Flight Simulator, it'll give me that as a resolution option. That way I can play in that resolution. What I found is that doing it in window mode is a little bit easier than doing it in full screen mode. It's kind of a bummer, but yeah, I'm going to stick with that for now because it works better. For a little while I had tried using NVIDIA Surround, and then I stumbled across somebody else's videos where they were showing the Knobster here in the touchscreen monitor for your instrument panel, and I liked that setup. I can link to that guy's video. He's got some good stuff out there. But the NVIDIA Surround just wasn't going to work with a 4th monitor, and the goal is to eventually have a 5th monitor right here. I have one ready to go. I have a second graphics card to power that because my GPU, it's a RTX 3080. It only has 4 video output signals, so I needed a 5th. My CPU does not do. I have a Ryzen 3700X. That does not have onboard integrated graphics output, so I needed to get a second GPU. I ended up just getting a cheapo GTX 1030, and that's been running my second instrument panel. Works okay. I'm not using it today because Air Manager doesn't have support for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 yet. So what I have here is just the basic demo instrument panel. So because of that, there's no radio stack or anything like that. So I didn't bother to set up the radio stack panel. So this is what we got for today. So I just talked about this monitor. This is touchscreen, which is kind of nice. So I can turn stuff like my fuel pump on just by tapping it. I have a Knobster, so let's say I wanted to set my field elevation. I could tap the altimeter knob, and then if I spin the knob, it'll change my elevation for me. So we're set here at Burlington, Vermont. So I'm just going to tune that down to just about sea level. I know that's the field elevation here at Burlington. So yeah, so that Knobster's cool. If I wanted to change my heading bug to the runway direction here, I could just tap that knob, turn the Knobster, and then yeah, so that's a pretty cool feature. When I eventually do get the full Air Manager panel set up, it'll certainly be nice to be able to control my radio stack using the Knobster. I find that when I'm flying around trying to talk on the radios, having to constantly switch to the mouse, zoom in on the radio so you can see what you're doing, tune stuff up there, and then zoom back, set it. It's super distracting. You end up getting behind the aircraft, especially if it's busy airspace. So the Knobster is going to be super helpful there. What else can I talk about? So some other cool stuff. In the top right-hand corner of your screen, you can see that I have an Android phone, and I'm using the Avare app. So that's cool because I can pull up the map just like when I fly in real life. I have this thing mounted to the yoke, so the fact that I can train the way I fly in real life, use my moving map to be able to see where I'm at, be able to pull up approach plates, airport diagrams. It's just a cool thing to be able to do. Very helpful. Back to the airport diagram, and it does so I'm using so this X-Connect is a plugin, so that shares my GPS data over my Wi-Fi network, the simulator GPS data, and then my Aver app has a plugin that picks up that GPS data, and it's able to tell my phone where we are in the GPS. So in terms of training value, you know, training like you fly in real life, having the moving map, having the airport diagram with your position overlaid, it's just awesome. It's blows my mind. I'm new to flight simulation as of this year, so the fact that you know, I can train this realistically right here in my home office is pretty fantastic. So what else have we talked about? So I do have a Honeycomb Alpha flight yoke here. I just got this in when I started building this flight simulator. I figured I went with the Thrustmaster. I don't remember what it's called, T1000 or something like that. It's a joystick with a throttle. Very quickly, once I started building up the simulator, you just want it to be that much more realistic. So I ended up springing to get the Alpha, and I also have the Bravo on the way. The shipping's backlogged for those, but that'll give me realistic throttle mixture, and then if I want to fly complex aircraft, it'll give me prop levers. But for now, we'll use this throttle from Thrustmaster. So what else am I missing here as far as the setup goes? I think that's it. So with that said, let's do a pattern here at Burlington. Look down, get this out of the way. So we'll turn our fuel pump on. All right, mixture is full. We'll throw in a notch of flaps. Get this out of here too, because it's distracting. And other than that, I think we're good to go. I'm going to let our co-pilot here to manage the radios for today. Let's see if he says anything here. I think we're already cleared for the takeoff. We're just hogging the runway. All right, let's get the hell out of here. So release the brakes. I don't have pedals or anything like that, so my yaw is going to be a little messy. I'm using the yaw control on my Thrustmaster throttle here. Right, 60 knots. We're off. Trim it out for a climb. All right, and I think we're going to listen to some music while we're flying. So the reason why I wanted Air Manager here is because it gives me the ability to set our view forward like that, so that we have 3 monitors worth of visuals. We look out the right window, look out the left window, and it's super easy using the Alpha here. I just like the realism of having a full field of view. It'll be nice when Microsoft Flight Simulator does full screen support, but having the full field of view and then being able to glance down at all your instruments is just fantastic. Before I had this 4th monitor with Air Manager, I was finding that no matter what I did to try to adjust the view in the cockpit, it just wasn't right. I either was looking too far down if I wanted to see my RPM in the RPM gauge in the Cessna, and if I'm looking too far down, I couldn't see the scenery outside. Or if I'm looking outside, or with a good, you know, if I have one of these views, you can't see your RPMs. So, you know, doing something like a simple approach, it's just difficult. You're doing it only by sound. Otherwise, you gotta either pan down or just kind of just barely see it. You know, like it stunk. So, you know, I guess I could zoom out further, but then half the screen is taken up by these pillars here. It's just So I've decided since that this Air Manager setup is absolutely fantastic. So anybody considering it, I highly recommend it. If you do decide that you want to go to 5, and you got to make sure that your CPU has graphics support. Let's see if I can get these buttons right. There we go. Looks like we're going to cut this a little bit close. Yeah, so if you're going to do the 5th monitor, make sure your CPU has graphics support, or make sure your graphics card can do 5 video outputs, because if not, you're going to run into what I ran into, which was needing to get a second GPU, and that, it's doable. What I found was, I'm overflying my road right here. What I found was, I got the GTX 1030 as my second one, so I figured it's using the same drivers, it's the same NVIDIA drivers as the 3080, so I figured it'd be okay. It's just still not great. It's almost like the two graphics cards fight each other for who takes priority. Maybe there's some settings that I just haven't figured out yet. Throw it on some flaps. But full disclosure, it's kind of a pain in the butt to set up, and what I'm finding is that the more complex your simulator setup is, if every time you want to go for a flight, it takes you an hour troubleshooting stuff, you're just not going to end up flying or using this. Oh, I just thought about one more thing that I haven't talked about yet. We'll do this landing first. And we'll call that 2 and 1. Alright, and we'll pull the flaps up to 1 notch. Fuel pump's still on. And we're going to go full forward. I told my co-pilot here to make our radio calls, but he hasn't been doing that for us. We need to dock his pay. So the thing I haven't mentioned yet, part of my flight setup, as we're flying around here, I'm feeling the vibrations of the engine. I feel it in my butt when we hit the ground on that landing, twice. I have a butt kicker. I think that's the name of the product itself. It's called the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, and it's a transducer. It's kind of like a subwoofer in terms of turning audio to vibrations. You connect it to your headphone output with a splitter, and it listens to the audio of of the game, of your desktop. Here's the engine audio. It's got a low pass filter so that it cuts off all the high frequencies and you're only getting the low frequencies. So it's, for the most part, it doesn't listen to my voice through the microphone, but it does hear all of the engine vibrations, and it hears when we hit the ground. So all of that audio data is converted to vibration data. It clamps to my seat post of my office chair here. So all of that vibration, is transferred to me sitting here in the seat. So pretty cool. I haven't talked about my headset and microphone. I can link to those products in the description. I don't remember off the top of I think my headphones are a Tautronics, which is one of those pretty cheap money, like $100 or so, cheap relatively, for a headset. But no complaints with these. Love the sound quality. They're super comfortable. I've worn them for hours and barely feel them. And then the microphone is just a plug-in mic. So these headphones are wireless. If I want to listen to them on Bluetooth, take them for a flight. Like if I was going on vacation and actually wanted to use them in a commercial airplane. But then when I want to use them as a gaming headset, I just plug in this microphone and I can do that. So, yep, recommend that setup as well. So with the 3 monitors, unfortunately, because it's not true multi-monitor, I still have to level the wings and then peek out the left window. I can't wait till Microsoft has true multi-monitor support so that I don't even need to bother with peeking out the left window. I'll be able to see it on my third monitor here. Because again, when you can't see where you're flying, you just end up continually overrunning runways like we just did there. And we're super high. We're probably botching this one altogether. Let's see if we can pull it off. Burlington's got a long runway here, so I'm sure we'll be okay. Maybe not. All right, 3 notches of flaps and we'll drop like a bat out of hell. We can even throw in some yaw. Slip this guy onto the runway. Let's get ourselves lined up here. Ugly. See if we can do it 1 landing this time instead of 2. No, it's still 2. We'll get that figured out. Brakes. And here we come. Let's see if our co-pilot calls ground here as we're pulling off the runway. I gave you 1 job. No. All right, I think I'm going to save you guys from taxiing all the way back. I'll set the parking brake here. How cool is that? Very cool. So this alpha yoke, I haven't talked much about this thing. Absolutely fantastic. There's plenty of videos out there about it, so I won't cover it in detail, but absolutely love it. For the most part, I'm using all the default button mapping. I haven't changed anything there. Yeah, love it. I think that's it. Go back to our view here, pan down. So we'll turn off our lights. What else? We can kill our avionics. Clean things up here. And I think turn off the fuel pump. And we'll kill it. Mixture is coming out. And Microsoft doesn't let me do it all the way. I guess I can. Yeah, doesn't like that. Anyways. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, leave a comment, and we'll see if I can put out some flying videos here in the future going forward. Thanks for joining. See ya.